3 years ago, a group of college students disappeared inside a forest outside Blackwood, Oregon. Police found their cameras, their phones, their car, but the students themselves were never seen again until last month, because somebody uploaded the missing footage online. And according to the timestamps, the final recording continued for 6 hours after all of them were declared dead. Tonight, you're going to hear what was on those tapes.
Chapter 1: The Road to Blackwood. October 14th, 2023. 5 film students from Portland decided to investigate the Blackwood Forest disappearances for a documentary project. Their names were Mason, Claire, Tyler, Sophie, and Ethan. At first, none of them believed the stories. Missing hikers, voices in the woods, disappearances, shadow figures. Typical internet horror nonsense, or so they thought. The drive took nearly 4 hours. Heavy rain followed them almost the entire way. The deeper they drove, the emptier the roads became. No gas stations, no houses, no lights. Just endless forest, dark, silent, watching. Eventually, their GPS lost signal completely. Tyler laughed nervously. Perfect horror movie setup. Nobody laughed back, because 20 minutes earlier, they had passed the same dead deer on the roadside twice, even though they never turned around. Chapter 2: The Warning. The group reached Blackwood just after sunset. The town barely looked alive. Only a few buildings remained open. A diner, a motel, a tiny gas station. That was it. Inside the diner, an elderly waitress stared at them strangely after hearing where they planned to camp. "Blackwood Forest?" she whispered. "You kids shouldn't go in there after dark." Mason smiled confidently. "We'll be fine." The old woman slowly shook her head. "That forest doesn't let people leave." The entire diner became quiet. Nobody looked at them anymore. Nobody smiled. Then an old trucker sitting near the window spoke without turning around. "If you hear someone calling your name, don't answer." A long silence fell. Claire laughed awkwardly, but Ethan noticed something disturbing. Every single person inside the diner looked terrified. Not dramatic, not joking, actually terrified. Chapter 3: The First Night. The group set up camp deep inside Blackwood Forest around 11 p.m. Tall trees surrounded them in every direction. Their flashlights barely illuminated anything beyond a few feet. The darkness felt heavy, almost unnatural. At first, everything felt normal. They joked, filmed interviews, told ghost stories. Then, around 1:13 a.m., Sophie noticed something. The forest had gone completely silent. No insects, no wind, no animals, nothing. And then, from somewhere deep in the trees, someone whistled. A slow, eerie whistle. Tyler immediately stood up. "Did you guys hear that?" The whistle came again. Closer this time. Silence. And then Claire grabbed the camera and pointed it toward the woods. Nothing there. Then Ethan froze, because standing between the trees, far in the distance, was a person, motionless, watching them. Too tall, far too tall. And then the figure slowly stepped backwards into the darkness, gone instantly.
Chapter 4. The Footage. The next morning, Tyler reviewed the previous night's recordings. At first, everything looked normal. Campfire, conversation, dark forest. Then, the camera captured something nobody noticed in real time. Behind Claire, between the trees, a pale face slowly appeared, smiling, not moving, just watching. Sophie felt sick immediately. Mason insisted it was probably another camper. Then Tyler zoomed in, nervously. The face had no eyes, only empty black sockets. Claire immediately wanted to leave. So did Ethan, but Mason refused. "We came all this way for footage. Imagine uploading this documentary." That sentence would later become evidence in the police investigation.
The second night felt wrong immediately. The temperature dropped violently after sunset. Their phones stopped working completely. Even offline maps disappeared. Then, around midnight, they heard knocking. Wood hitting wood, deep in the forest, slowly circling around their camp. Tyler grabbed his flashlight and pointed toward the trees. Nothing. Then the knocking suddenly came from behind them, louder, closer. Claire screamed because beside their tent, someone had stacked dozens of small stones into human-shaped figures. Nobody saw them being placed there, and each figure had animal bones hanging from it.
Chapter 6. The Mimic. At 2:47 a.m., Ethan woke suddenly after hearing Claire crying outside the tent. Soft crying, weak, terrified. "Ethan, please help me." Half asleep, he stepped outside. The campfire was dead. The forest was black, empty. Claire? No answer. Then the voice whispered again, much farther away now. "Ethan, come here." He followed the sound between the Chapter 6. The Mimic. At 2:47 a.m., Ethan woke suddenly after hearing Claire crying outside the tent. Soft crying, weak, terrified. "Ethan, please help me." Half asleep, he stepped outside. The campfire was dead. The forest was black, empty. Claire? No answer. Then the voice whispered again, much farther away now. "Ethan, come here." He followed the sound between the trees. Branches snapped beneath his feet. Cold fog drifted around him. Then suddenly he found Claire, standing motionless beside a tree, back facing him. "Claire?" Slowly, Her body turned around. It wasn't Claire. Its arms were too long, its smile stretched impossibly wide, and its voice still sounded exactly like her. "You answered." Ethan screamed and ran blindly through the forest. Something chased him immediately, fast, crashing through trees behind him, and every few seconds it copied his own voice perfectly. "Help me. Ethan. Don't run."
Chapter 7. The Cabin. Ethan eventually found an abandoned cabin deep in the woods. The others arrived minutes later, terrified, breathing heavily, because they heard it too, the voices and something else. Footsteps circling outside the cabin walls, slow, dragging. Then came scratching against the windows. Tyler pointed his flashlight outside. Dozens of pale faces stood between the trees, watching silently. None of them moved. None blinked. And every single one was smiling. Chapter 8. The Basement. Inside the cabin, Sophie discovered a basement door hidden beneath old carpet, locked from the outside. Mason forced it open. The smell that escaped was unbearable. Rot, mold, something dead. The basement walls were covered in writing, hundreds of sentences scratched into the wood. Don't follow the voices. It wears people. It likes it when you look at it. Then Claire found photographs, old missing person photos, hundreds of them. Every victim had one thing in common. Their eyes were completely black. Then Tyler noticed movement behind them. Someone stood at the top of the basement stairs, watching. Tall, pale, smiling. And it looked exactly like Ethan. Chapter 9. The Replacement. The thing wearing Ethan's face slowly tilted its head, then spoke softly. "He's still alive." The real Ethan suddenly started screaming somewhere outside the cabin. The group panicked immediately. Mason ran upstairs, Claire followed, but Sophie stayed frozen because the fake Ethan never blinked once. Then its smile widened unnaturally, far wider than humanly possible, and every light inside the cabin shut off instantly. Darkness swallowed everything. Chapter 10. The Final Recording. Police recovered the final footage from Tyler's camera 3 weeks later. Most of the final hour was corrupted, broken audio, darkness, screaming. But one section remained clear. The group was running through the forest, terrified, crying. Something enormous moved between the trees beside them, keeping pace effortlessly. Then Mason fell. The camera turned toward him. 3 smiling figures stood around him, silently. Perfect copies of Claire, Tyler, and Ethan. Their mouths slowly opened, too wide, far too wide. It said in perfect, horrible harmony, "Stay with us." Mason screamed.
The footage violently distorted, then cut black. But the audio continued for 6 more hours. Heavy breathing, footsteps, branches snapping, and occasionally one sentence repeating over and over again. It learned our voices.
The Blackwood footage was uploaded anonymously last month. Authorities still don't know who posted it, but viewers noticed something disturbing almost immediately. In several scenes, a 6th person can be seen standing behind the group, watching silently. Nobody noticed them while filming, and according to police records, there were only supposed to be 5 students in Blackwood Forest, which means something else walked out with the tapes, and maybe it's still listening, waiting for someone else to answer when it calls their name.
If you're still awake after tonight's story, hit like and subscribe before the darkness follows you to sleep. And comment, I heard it too.